Museum of Radio and Technology. Hey everybody, Dan's In-Body Experience here. Thanks for joining me this morning. Well, it's probably not morning. It might be morning when you're looking at it, but it's morning here where I'm at. It's 10:43. We're going to check out the Museum of Radio and Technology. Find a place to park, hop out of here, and check it out. We are back. I don't know how you'd say it. Kind of a tough place to find, but I guess that's what GPS is for. Let's see what she says. Let's say that's what that means. Can I go in this one? What does that mean? What do you pay to look at this place?
Did you come to tour or did you come to vote?
Tour. Okay. I just don't give it to you then.
No. Hey Dave. We have a fella here. Actually, not a Victrola. Is actually an Edison cylinder player but the horn wasn't down under. It was a black horn, but it wasn't down under. It came out like this.
Yeah.
But it was black. Okay, and it built out more. It was
more exaggerated.
Yeah. But it was something on the order of this with a horn up here.
The vector painting originates in the early 1900s.
Yes, and so. The fellow's name is William Owen, and he said, "I'll tell you what. If you change the whole painting and use one of our Victrola's disc players," said, "I'll buy the painting." He sold the painting for 50 shillings, or 50 pounds. Sold the painting for 50 pounds, and he also sold the name of the painting, his master's voice, for another 50 pounds. Okay, so he made 100 pounds on this
back then
painting. Okay.
Deal.
That became the icon of not the Victrola company,
really,
but the Brunswick gramophone.
How that happened?
Company. Well, that's what it was. It was Brunswick.
That's who he was
went
dealing
to.
with.
Victrola didn't exist at that time. It was not until 1910 that this company called Radio Corporation of America, RCA, bought
I didn't realize that.
And acquired the Brunswick company and the gramophones and started making the thing called a Victrola, and they got with it the rights and use of the dog listening to a gramophone, not an Edison. Kona, or not Edison.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Thomas Edison would be beside himself because Edison, he was very competitive and he won all the patents on everything. So this is the competitor here. This is now the competitor is Victrola. This Victrola is a little different than most because it's got wheels on it. This one was used by a music teacher in schools. So remember, you remember being in school, and you probably sat there in class in grade school, and once a month maybe the music teacher came around. Maybe the music teacher had a turntable or a tape.
I don't remember that, but
okay, but anyway, that's the way it was when I was at school. Well, what they did was the music teacher would reel this into the room and have the music lesson. Okay, so see that this, of course, works too. Notice that the diaphragm in this one is vertical, not horizontal, like on the, okay? It's copyright stuff. This is the line control and tone control here.
Where's the music coming from?
This one's louder because it was used for class.
Oh, that's where it's coming from.
So this has got a larger horn.
Yeah.
Much larger horn. Oh, we're getting kind of watery there. That sounds painful, doesn't it? Yeah, crank it up some more.
Really?
It hasn't been cranked for a few days. Yeah, it works on a spring motor, like a clock motor.
Yeah, like an old clock, yeah.
say, that's the volume control.
What control was that you said?
That's the volume control. That's no
Volume.
electricity.
The volume is
all
that.
the horn.
I got you. I
Yeah,
got you.
So that's how you control
Open the doors. And
open the doors or
It's the
shut the
volume.
doors. That's how
Okay.
it controls the loudness.
There's so much you like. It's not funny, isn't it? Just like
Edison
you said,
couldn't,
just
Edison
little
couldn't
differences
stand
like
Edison-
that each side. Yeah.
it. Yeah, Edison couldn't stand it. It's back to the horizontal
Yeah.
disc, okay? So he came up with a, now these discs, now this is from that Brunswick company, the idea. These are made out of shellac, they're not vinyl.
Really?
Yeah, so these are.
But will that one work
shellac.
on the Edison's?
Yeah.
So they'll never change the
So this is an Edison disc.
how'd that do that just now?
See how thick it is?
I do.
Okay, there's a reason for that being thick.
What's it made out of?
Shellac.
Same thing. Okay.
Edison put grooves in here. Now, they will work, but they'll sound different. They'll sound kind of funny because these, the variation in the groove is this way to record the sound. And these, it's this way.
Height and
Yeah,
depth.
see
Didn't know
this?
that. Yeah.
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 So,
So these got a depth difference, and them's got a
right. So
side to side different.
Yeah, Edison were thicker.
Didn't know that.
Trouble knocks upon your door, tell
This
me
one
what
has
you
volume
did.
control too.
On my ukulele, on your ukulele, I keep strumming
Same basic
gaily.
thing, though, right? Same principle. Opens the door.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not down there, it's up here. There we go.
Yeah.
See this side?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
happens.
Now you were
Okay.
sitting
Neat.
on the
Muffler.
fence, what
Soft
do you
ball,
think
yeah,
of that?
muffles it.
A
Nice.
bulldog
Stuff back in
came
there.
right up behind and bit
And
me
they're
where I
amazing.
sat.
claiming that this is
My
where
girl
the
is
term
pretty as can
put a
be.
sock in
You
it
got
came
to
from.
Really? Put a sock. That makes sense, don't it?
Makes sense. I'm not sure if it's accurate or not, but it makes a good story.
It does.
On my ukulele.
There's a break on that one. So this is Edison's, it's like the Empire Strikes Back. This is Edison's comeback to the
To the-
Victrola company. Yeah. And another beautiful Victrola here. Look at that ornate
Yeah.
craftsmanship on the cabinets there. Have your record storage, your horn comes out down here.
This is for people who had money back in the day, wasn't it?
This one had variable
And even today,
speed.
isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
really.
This one had variable speed right here too. You can control the speed. This this is a major step up.
That's Brunswick.
That's a Brunswick record on there, and this is a Brunswick Panatrope. Okay, but this one kind of borrows from the ideas of the Victrolas and the Edison disc players, in the fact that they kept the tone arm the same, but it doesn't use a horn. You can hear the hum.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, you hear when I touch this, it's louder sometimes. In this shape right here, did you ever play with a horseshoe magnet when you was a kid? There's a horseshoe magnet in there.
That's what's in there.
So you can see the hum picked up when I released the brake. This one has a rheostat or a potentiometer for volume control. So this one's electric. And there's variable speed. You can fine tune the speed.
So the volume's the same basic thing.
Now, volume is actually
It's
a
just
loudspeaker. It's not a horn anymore. This one has electronics.
But where is the speaker? That we're not
It's down there.
Just
It's
gotta
down there.
open it too, right? Okay.
It's a
All
little-
right.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Whoa, look at that big horn.
Yeah, let me set this off here and get a better shot at it. Turns off. Yeah. Again, now this is more like what Nipper would have been looking
Yeah,
into, because
yeah.
that's an Edison cylinder player right there. But just imagine this being a little shorter and about this big around,
Yeah.
made out of and black. I don't know
Thing
what's
is
made
really
of black.
long, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what. Yeah, the longer it is, the more efficient it is in the coupling. As long as that, there's all kinds of math and physics into the design of the horn speaker, or the trumpet speaker, you might say. These are actually called tulip speakers.
Why is this different? Different looking
It's wood.
textures.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
it's
wood.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
got the connectors here.
It's really pretty, isn't it?
And you have one of your early hi-fi systems here with the radio disc together. Another Edison player with a collection of shellac disc.
I didn't know they were shellac. That's something. I don't know if it's vinyl.
No, vinyl didn't come until later on. All right. This room is what we call the 20s room, and it's set up sort of like a 1920s radio shop. So if you were to go to buy a radio or something, you would go in and say, I want a nice shortwave receiver, I want one of those. And what you'd do is they'd sell you this, they come with a booklet and have some diagrams and drawings in it, and a bunch of parts. And you would get to build your radio.
Really?
And on a piece of wood. These are called breadboard radios. And I don't know if you mess with electronics or anything, but
Not much.
when you talk about experimenting today, they say I breadboarded the term breadboarding is still used. Yeah, and it's something that's not put into a final circuit board or assembly. It's something where you can change parts easily. Yeah, so
Not pretty functional.
Yeah, not pretty but functional. This is not too bad.
No.
This is a tuned radio frequency receiver. You have to actually tune your station 3 times, and each time you tune it, you get a little bit more sensitivity. But in order to change what's called bandwidth, you simply unplug the coil and change the whole coil. Change from
Oh my goodness.
yeah, change from one bandwidth to another.
You gotta change that thing right there.
The coil, yeah, with any of these other bands here. These are different bandwidths.
Gee whiz. And now they're tiny, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're just a switch. But they still have the interchangeable coil going even today. But that was still very popular. This is called a tuned radio frequency receiver. You have 3 variable capacitors here that you have to tune. If you notice, there's not frequency, it's just arbitrary number, 1 to 100. There's 3 tubes missing out of this one. So you'd have to have all 3 tubes in it, of course. And you'd have
all 3 would have to be in for it to work at all?
Yeah, and it'd be connected to one of those tulip speakers. Like,
Where's a tulip speaker hook? Doing something like this. What's a hook to?
It's over here.
Some of these
maybe it's going to be, I think, around here, maybe right here. I'm not sure. But what you have to do when you bought one of these things, usually it came with a guide, and the guide told you where the radio stations were, and it tell you how to set these dials. Otherwise, it's like a combination lock trying to get into the safe.
Yeah, it's what makes you think of it, don't it?
Yeah, and so you would tune, the same thing. This gets you a starting point. So I can start to hear it, and then you can start trying to cut it up. Trying to, cut some things out.
So
and touch
what's
it up
them
a
2
little bit.
things?
Those are tubes.
Them are tubes.
Yeah, those are tubes. Tubes are used for rectification and amplification.
Oh.
So
What was
that's
the first
makes
word
it-
you said?
Rectification is to change AC to DC, and amplification is to make louder.
Louder, right, yeah.
Make louder and more powerful.
I understood that one. I didn't understand the first one.
So those things were really hard to deal with.
I reckon.
So later on, they decided that if we gained all the tuning capacitors together mechanically, you make it just one knob to turn, and maybe make it a little easier. So again, this is another tuned radio frequency receiver. Each stage tunes to the station frequency.
It's crazy.
It is, and this was a little bit more preferred than those. Atwater Kent. There's fine. There's a German one here with its tulip speaker. And here's another one, and you can see inside of it, you can see the tuning capacitors. Back then they called them condensers. You have the inductors, the coils there, and the first stage on this one tunes with coils. See the coil move around in there?
Really?
Coil and a coil.
Yeah.
So the first one's inductive tuning, and the next two are capacitive tuning or condenser tuning. Yeah. And the speaker in this one will be, believe it or not,
Little tiny one.
yeah. But you could connect another speaker. You have a nice larger. More the same. You can see they tried to gang these together.
That's an old one, ain't it?
Yeah.
How old is that? Who knows?
That's a good question. Those are, I can say this is the 20s RAM, so you can count things that are being, at least go back to 1920s.
It's amazing that things still around. Isn't it?
This is called a B battery. And, you know, electricity wasn't everywhere in the 20s, even in town. So, you know, if you had a radio, it was probably powered by a 22 to 45 volt B battery. Yeah. So every once in a while, you get to go to the radio station and buy another battery.
Yeah, well, what do you, were they chargeable, them batteries?
I think they probably just tossed them out. They're right, they're chargeable.
They couldn't last for super long, could they?
Back then, antennas were just long pieces of wire.
Yeah.
Okay? Just run across the yard or whatever to a tree, whatever. Unless you live somewhere you can do that, then you had to buy these loop antennas like this. This one's directional, so you can turn it for better reception.
Really? Is that metal?
Yes.
No more metal?
Yes.
Okay.
It may be insulated, but it's cloth insulated metal wire. Probably
Copper wire, probably?
I'm gonna go behind the counter here and meet you in the corner there. Oh, I didn't have to go. It's already turned on. Oh well. Yeah, this thing is kind of dangerous. So, yeah, there's about 4,000 volts on this right now.
Really?
This is not a radio.
Telegraph machine?
It's not a telegraph. It comes right between the two.
Not Morse code, is it?
You use Morse code.
Huh?
You do use Morse code.
Really?
Like your telegraph. Telegraph depends on running wires.
That's true.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they was thinking if we could send messages without having to run wire. I mean, it's just silly to run wires all over the place, you know, and it's expensive, and you know you lose a lot. But they noticed that in thunderstorms that they could get that static charge from lightning.
Really?
Yeah, they noticed that. Okay, so I thought, I wonder how we could harness that. So they come up with this ingenious design here that uses a high voltage step-up transformer. So they stepped AC current up, or actually they used DC current and just chopped it up by a vibrator with tick, 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 like this, and that got fed into an inductor, a step-up coil, and that's how they boosted the voltage way up high. Then they induced DC to a motor and ran a little thing here called a spark gap. So this is sort of like Frankenstein's lab stuff.
Yeah.
This is not a radio.
Right.
It's not designed to hook up to the wire. This is called a wireless transmitter like they use on a Titanic.
Huh.
And that's what they transmit, SOS. Everybody's in distress. So that's a wireless transmitter. This is called wireless, actually.
This would have been the type of thing that was on SOS or not? I mean, on the Titanic?
On the Titanic, yeah. They used those in early ships, ship to shore, shore to ship communication. Right. This is another one, just a little different.
What's in red?
Not
thing
all
right
there.
Just like points or
those are probably a couple of diodes. But
okay.
Yeah. So it's going to change whatever AC is coming out of this to DC before it gets over here.
What's this thing right here you showed me before?
That's another type of spark gap spark gap.
Kind of like this thing.
It's kind of like that one. This is a spark gap here, but it's just made differently. And they're working on getting another one for the music. I don't know when it'll be done, but they're working on getting another one.
It's a crazy looking thing.
Hold that up to your ear.
This thing?
Mm-hmm. Just put it up to your ear. You don't have to wear it. Just stick it up there.
Okay.
Hear anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a local radio station. Transmitter towers is right down here.
Well, I mean, I just hear like a dead noise.
Oh, let me see it.
Maybe I'm holding the wrong one.
Really, you don't hear anything?
It sounds like it's not picking anything up, but it's like it's wanting to. Does that make sense? Am I wrong?
I hope somebody didn't detune it.
Oh, no.
Oh, I see. It's disconnected.
Oh, it might be why, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Now try it.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Boy, had me scared there for a minute.
Oh. let me do this. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. Yeah, I can definitely hear it. That's neat.
This radio has an earth's ground. This just goes out to maybe like a rod driven into the ground or cold water pipe. This is the aerial. It's just a long piece of wire, just like we talked about a while ago.
Just an antenna.
And then
What
you
a
have
crazy
some
looking thing, ain't it?
tuning capacitors. They call them condensers and coils to make a tuned circuit. That's all there is. No power cord, no batteries.
What? How's that?
The crystal headset is sensitive enough to detect
To power it up.
signal.
To catch it. Oh my goodness. No power goes to this thing.
No power. No power on any of these right here. And some of these are incomplete. You can see the wires are missing. I got a frog in my throat, excuse me. There. Yeah, this is done with an inductive coil here, a coil form. And this little thing here called a cat whisker. This is a small wire.
I see it.
If you notice, all these have one of these little things here that allows you to position that cat whisker on this crystal here. That's germanium. Germanium is a conductive, like a semiconductor in itself. So you would have to find the sweet spot on the germanium while doing this back and forth to find your radio station.
And that don't have power either.
No power. Same thing.
I don't. Oh, the same crystal thing you're talking about.
The germanium can pick up
What do you call it again?
germanium.
Germanium crystal. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Here's one that's wound on an oatmeal box. My uncle actually made one when he was young, and I remember when I was a kid, I saw it. It'd been sitting there for years in the attic, and it's rounded with toilet paper tube. Coils on the toilet paper tube. So we're getting away from tuned radio frequency receivers where you're having to jockey the dials all the time. Now we got down to
that's pretty.
receivers that just had one tuning knob on them. And you have like the tabletop model here. And both of these are tabletop, but this is called a cathedral because
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
it's shaped like the windows of a cathedral.
Do you guys restore these things too? Is that
A little bit. Most of what comes in here
good shape anyway?
just kind of cleaned up a little bit and put on display. But they're going to restore a few things because people want to know what they sound like.
This looks really
So
good.
that's
I'm just
kinda-
saying, just the finish still looks awful nice on it.
Yeah. These have these radios have about the same types of insides to them, about 5, 6, 7 tubes. They're all very similar in design. The light can be laid out differently, but in operation principle, they're all the same. This was called a super heterodyne receiver. It was, this property and concept was invented and discovered by a fellow named Armstrong. And when Armstrong decided if you take the incoming frequency, run it through a tuning capacitor so you can select a radio station, have another oscillator inside the radio that's 455 kilocycles, they call it then, now kilohertz, away from this frequency coming in and beat them together in a converter stage. That's called heterodyning, beating those two signals together. And what comes out of it, no matter what the station frequency is, what comes out of that converter stage is 455 kCs that goes to 2 more amplifiers. It's only tuned to that frequency. And that's why you don't have to have more than one tuning knob. Right. So there you go. The super het receiver. It was the
Super het.
It was like the greatest thing ever.
Up to that point, yeah.
All right, guys. I know there's no way you understood half of what that dude was saying unless you're really intelligent. I sure didn't get it. But anyways, I want to break this one up in a few different vlogs because you can see this video here itself is pretty long, and I'm still not going to put all this on here, but I'm going to put a bit of it in different pieces. Please like, subscribe, and share. Man, I hope you guys subscribe. We got 6 subscribers. Come on, guys. Anyways, hope you come back and check out the rest of this museum thing we're doing. This vlog is done.